Hello, everybody. Today I'm going to talk about Starfield economy. Now, here's the thing, right? I don't think Bethesda's going to do this, but they could. And if they do, a modder certainly will. Now, if you imagine the crafting system. Now, the crafting system, you take resources, you put it one end, you produce goods out the other. You can then sell those goods. Those goods there can become part of the economy. Now, in the past, games like Egosoft's X series and Mountain Blade, Bannerlords and stuff, they've tried to make price fluctuations in economies, and they've ruined their own economies in the game. The current version of Bannerlords, the economy's not worth shit. Pardon my phrase, but it isn't. It used to work great, and then they overthought it and they broke it all. Now it's hardly worth doing it. You need perks just to get going, and you can't get perks without losing loads of money first. Trading. And I like the trading game. There's a danger that people who are on development teams overthink the economy and then ruin their own economy by overthinking it. So let me outline something for you right now that should work and wouldn't be overthinking anything. Now, it goes on the premise that the inner cores have major economies, so goods are cheaper. You could buy something expensive there, a lot cheaper than you could on, say, the outer sectors, where the minor settlements are. So if you were to make a device, say a scanner, right, on a workbench someplace, and you want to sell it on the inner cores, the bigger economies, you might get, say, 100 credits for it. But you take it to the outer cores, you might get 1,000 credits for it because it's rarer out there than it is in the inner cores. So you could sell your goods for more on the outer cores. Now you might think, yeah, but this is open to abuse, and it would be. But the outer cores, I'm using the outer cores to describe minor settlements, by the way. If you go to a minor settlement, they'll have less money, so they'll have less money to buy these goods. So you'd have to travel to more of them to sell it. But you go to the central cores, where all the economies are booming, they'd have loads of money. They could buy all your stock off you in one go, but at a much cheaper price. You've got an economy right there. You could simply go from the inner core where they're rich to the outer core where they're poor, selling goods without making anything. Now, if you think of this as a basic economy, you've got a trading game right there. An element of the game that's never been in any Bethesda's game, because Bethesda's game has just had merchants with set prices, and set amount of money. They haven't really tried. It worked, it functioned, but this would expand that a little bit further without overthinking it, without breaking it like they're having Bannerlords and the X series. Now, if you actually take that idea a bit further, and you think to yourself, who would be interested in a trader with loads of goods on board? Let me think. Pirates. So now you've got pirates running around looking for rich merchants to rob. Now, if you have a lot of goods on board, they might scan your ship, notice that, and attack you and try and rob you. So suddenly you need to have a heavily armed merchant ship in order to make this work. Then basically you'd be defending yourself, so you're fighting. Your skills in your fighting area, for lasers and stuff, would have to be fairly high as well. So you've got the economy then drives your character generation, which adds to the gameplay, which makes the game a little bit more interesting. Now, if we actually follow that through to the end and we think, well, you've got a crafting system as well, let's make things and sell them, to the inner core or outer core, make money as well. We could go and, literally harvest the initial resources for free and make the goods for free and get 100% profit off of anything we sell. And now if you think to yourselves, let's put that in a base. It has to be on a base, not a starship. So we'll build a base on a planet where we've got these resources, and we'll use the base to produce these resources. So you go there, you collect the resources, you bring it back to the ship, or you produce goods with it. And whatever you do, whether you've got the raw resources or the goods, you then take it to a market to sell. Again, it adds to the economy. It makes it work. I think if Bethesda haven't already done this, some modder will. It'll be a fairly simple process as well, I'd imagine. Although trying to balance it out might be determined whether they're successful or a failure. Because if you think about it, right, how many games, how many developers have tried to make this work in the past? And they started out all right when it's been simple. The second they started to make prices fluctuate, bang, it goes tits up every single time. Bannerlords had a perfectly functioning economy, and then they decided, they were going to make some fancy new routine for it in the final patches of the beta, and now it doesn't work. Now it's just knackered. So the Bannerlord system, and fails. I mean, I've tried to play a recent game with that, and the system is. I wouldn't say it's too smart for its own good. I would say it's too dumb to be smart. That's how I'd describe it. So you need perks, you need to leave the game running a few hours, you need to be lucky, lucky that you're carrying resources. And remember, the other factor is when you're moving from A to B, especially in Starfield, it's going to cost you fuel. In Bannerlords, it costs you gold because of the army you've got. So if you wait too long to sell the goods, it stops being worthwhile and starts costing you money. And that's the nature of a good trading game is that factor where you could start losing money if you wait too long. And I think that's the factor many games don't include. Bannerlords did. Unfortunately, their trading game doesn't really work that well. So you're basically losing money every time you try it. It's far better just to go and fight. In Bethesda's games, though, it could work quite well, because the cost of the fuel could be part of the penalty for trading. It might even find it's necessary to do a bit of trading to pay for the fuel in between jobs. So if you need to actually travel from one star system to another, you might have to do a little bit of mining and a little bit of trading to get the money together to pay for the fuel to make the leap you want to leap, or to go to the planet you want to go. That'll probably mean you'll spend more time on the planet, getting to know the planet and making money on the planet before you move on to the next one. That gives you plenty of time to make the trading game work. And you could even find that the more resources you gather, the more goods a planet produces, and therefore the more profit you can make by selling those goods someplace else. So you see, the whole system could work quite well without overthinking anything. And I do believe that if Bethesda haven't already done this, some modder will. See you in the next one.